Okay, we now come to lesson 3 on bass notes, learning your bass notes all the way up to the 12th fret. And if you recall, lesson 1, we learned the open strings and the first 4 frets, E, A, D, G, and the first 4 frets in the first position. And so those are still written up here. And we learned in the first lesson that there's 7 letters in the musical alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then it starts over A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and going lower, it's A, G, F, E, D, C, B, and so forth. And we learned that between A and B, there's a sharp and a flat, A sharp and B flat, and between C and D, there's a sharp and a flat, D, E, F, and G, G, and A. So there's 5 sharps and 5 flats. I call them intentional notes, not accidentals. And, it's just a little silliness there, calling them intentionals. And then in lesson 2, we learned 5 frets, and we also learned that the 5 notes on the G, D, and A string can just be transposed down here. That these 5 notes and these 5 notes on those 3 strings are the same. So all you really had to do is learn C, D, and E and the 2 accidentals or intentionals, excuse me. Ha! And we also talked about the fact that I'm using, for the purposes of this lesson, flats. Because if you come over here to the circle of fifths, the circle of fifths is C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, or F sharp, and then B, E, A, D, G, to keep the keys a fourth apart. And we know that instead of a G flat major and E flat minor, there is an F sharp major and a D sharp minor, and those are called enharmonic keys. And there's a couple of others. You can play in the key of C flat, but these are the most common keys. B is much more common than C flat. Okay, it has 5 sharps. So we've got some flat keys, we've got some sharp keys. Anyway, that's the reason for these lessons I'm just using flat notes. But we know that there are also the sharp note equivalents, which are called enharmonic spellings. E-N-H-A-R-M-O-N-I-C, enharmonic. Starts with an E. All right, so today in lesson 3, we only have to learn the 10th fret, the 11th fret, and we already learned the 12th fret because we know the 12th fret is the same as the open strings. So really we've only got 8 notes to learn here at our 10th and 11th fret. And I'm on a 5-string bass, but we're only gonna really focus on the 4-string bass, except I will mention one little detail about the 11th fret. And that was what I told you I would tell you how important the 11th fret is. But it's also very important to note that even the E flat and the E on the 8th and 9th fret are very important because if you're playing a bass that only has 20 frets, this bass has 22 frets, so it goes up to a high F. But most Fenders, for many years only had 20 frets, and so you only go to an E flat. And now most Fenders have an extra fret, so it goes to an E. So E flat is here, and it's here. But where's the E up here if you only have 20 frets? So this note is very important because that's the only place it appears on the G string if you only have 20 frets. Now, obviously it does appear up here on the D string and on the A string, but on the G string, that's the only place it appears. And so that's going to hold true when we add our first note here, F, at the 10th fret. Unless you have a 22 fret instrument, you don't have another F on the G string anywhere. Here's the F at the 10th fret. But if you only had 21 frets, you wouldn't have that F. So that's a little extra importance given to that F at the 10th fret. Now you can play the F here, or you can play it here, but this is in the meat of our range. So that's another reason why the 10th and 11th, 9th through the 12th frets are important. All right, so there's our F, gonna be at the 10th fret, one step up from E, and then G flat is one step up from F and half step down from G. And that's at the 11th fret. All right, let's go ahead and learn these notes, then we'll talk about some additional things. On the D string at the 10th fret is a C. And at the 11th fret on the D string is a D flat. By now you can kind of figure out what we're doing. You know that we're all these things are in half step increments. Going down here to the A string next to the G flat obviously is a G and an A flat down from the A. And finally, on the E string at the 10th fret is a D, and on the 11th fret is an E flat. So we can put all those 8 notes in there and complete our whole 12 fret fingerboard with all the notes on it. And while we're here, I just want to mention one important thing that I promised you I would tell you about the 11th fret. If you look closely, you'll see that all 4 of these notes are our intentional notes. 4 of our 5 intentional notes are accidentals or sharps and flats. There's no other place on the fingerboard or the fretboard where all the sharps and flats appear on one fret. And if you had a 5 string with an extra string down here, the lower string there is a B flat or an A sharp. So all 5 of our intentional sharps and flats, otherwise called accidentals, are at the 11th fret. So if I had it to do over again, and I was teaching somebody the bass, I believe I would learn the 12th fret, the 11th fret, the 10th fret, and the 9th fret first, because of the fact that all these sharps and flats are right there. They're no harder to finger or to play. And so you might as well go ahead and learn them quickly and early in your musical journey, because of the fact that you're going to need to know them just as good as you know a C or an open E. You're going to need to know these notes just as good. And since they all appear at the 11th fret, hey, it's just a little side note for you. All right, so let's play this upper position, and we're going to go ahead and play from E to G, just 4 frets. if we wanted to play 5 frets, we could shift a half step. And then if I just play it like a 4 string. Okay, so that's basically the end of this lesson. Now I'm going to go ahead and tell you I'm going to come back with 2 supplemental lessons to help us learn and understand and put into practice getting around up and down on the fingerboard, and go ahead and use the upper structure too. It's important to note that the first 11 frets, including the open string, which would be 12 notes, is the same up here. From 12 to 24 would be the same note. Here's an open G, here's a G, and if you had a 24 fret bass, there would be a G. So every note that's down here in the first 11 frets are repeated up here. And so next time we'll come back with a way of moving up and down the instrument in a linear fashion and across the instrument in a vertical fashion. So get ready for the supplemental lessons, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Thanks a lot.